Lovering, aka K-Love. How are you tonight?
I'm well. How are you, Kurt?
Thanks for coming in.
Thank
You know what?
you.
When this show was put together, the premise was to have interesting people like you come on the show and be interviewed because
Yeah.
everybody hears you perform. You know, they know your name. You have a great name, by the way. Caleb is so cool.
Thank you.
And your band is phenomenal, and we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
But you know, this show is designed for like to let people know who you are as a person. You know, like how you got into music.
Yeah.
You know, what your hobbies and interests are outside of music.
Sure.
You know, kind of like make it more of like a human thing. You know.
Right. Because we are human.
So today we're going to talk. I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're going to take our listeners on a journey to know all there is to know about K Love and the United Funk.
Yeah.
So tell us about the band. Like you know, tell us about funk and like you know what someone can expect when they come to one of your shows.
Yeah. So funk to me is just that really deep rhythm with a heavy bass that makes you feel something. So the funk part of it kind of was born when I moved to New York City, and yeah, I went from being a country singer to working at the Cafe Wa in the West Village, which was nothing but funk and R&B. So I had to kind of keep my head down and just pay attention to what was going on. So that's where
So basically, you got into funk when you went into Manhattan
absolutely.
because you know I'm from New York myself,
I know.
and you and I will talk about that because we have
Yeah,
some similar experiences. And
yeah,
I love Manhattan. I miss Manhattan, but I don't ever want to go back there again.
yeah.
It's a weird love hate thing.
I miss it a lot. I don't miss the hustle and uh
Trying to get a cab,
yeah,
going
up
in
and
the
down the
dirty subways,
stairs. Yeah, up and down stairs all day long. It's a lot.
the stress and anxiety. I
Yeah.
used to live in the city, but then I lived in the suburbs. So now you have to catch the train, and now you're
Yeah.
committed to a train schedule. And next thing you know, back then I used to party a lot. So like I'll be in a bar, it's like 1 o'clock. I'm like, oh, the last train's getting ready to pull out of Grand Central. I better run to the train station.
Oh, yeah, because were you going to Long Island?
No, I was living in Westchester at the time.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I lived on the Upper West Side for a long time, and then I moved into Harlem for about 17 years on 119th and Frederick
That's so
Douglass.
funny because on First Avenue, I think 117 maybe, is
Mhm.
Patsy's, world
Oh,
famous
yeah?
Patsy's.
Yeah, many
The
times.
greatest pizzeria on the planet.
Agreed.
You've eaten there.
I have. The food
Excellent.
is amazing.
And I think the reason is that it's very old, and I
Yeah,
think the oven is like the original coal oven,
yeah,
and what it does is it gives the food a very unique flavor.
absolutely. You might see a gangster or 2 hanging out in
I
there
know, it's
too.
not a good neighborhood. Well, you know what's so funny about that? It's a great story. When I went there in the late '70s, early '80s, it was a horrible neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then the yuppies started moving in, and then it started getting cleaner, and they started putting up condos, and then Harlem wasn't anything like it used to be.
It's really not. I mean, I lived in a refurbished building and there were 5 floors. It was a walk up. I lived on the 4th floor. So, I mean, for me on the west side, it was just every kind of restaurant you could imagine. Right underneath of us was an African restaurant with this bakery that you smell bread every morning at 6 in the morning. There'd be baking some bread. It was just incredible, that neighborhood.
What I tell people that are not from New York and maybe haven't even gone to visit there, as I say, look, it's the kind of city where you can get anything you want,
Mhm.
any type of food you want at
Mhm.
for pretty much any hour of the day.
True.
I mean, you just mentioned African food.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's known for their delis,
Yeah.
it's known for their pizza places, right? Chinese takeout,
Yeah.
but ethnic, there's everything
Yeah.
under the sun.
I mean, you could walk into the bodega on the corner and get rice and beans and the best Latin food you've ever had in your life from a little bodega.
That's right. And I
Yeah.
think the difference between places like down here in Florida and places up there, and the bakers tell me this, is
Yeah.
that the water
Yeah.
is what makes it special up there. The water's got unique flavor, unique minerals and principles, and
Yeah.
it reacts to the heat, and it lends for a different kind of taste and texture.
Yeah. That's what makes a pizza so amazing. It's
Correct.
it's just so different.
So let's talk about music because
Okay.
how did you get into music? How did you start singing? What were some of your early
Mm.
influences?
So my dad was a deputy sheriff and he worked midnight. So during the day, I was with my dad most of the time. And he loved all kinds of music from the Beach Boys to Merle Haggard. But he had this little tape recorder. And that was for, I guess, recording the suspects of whoever they were arresting. So he'd bring it home and play Merle Haggard and we'd sing. And so he started recording me when I was about 3 years old. And I just fell in love with music. We always had music in the house. My grandparents played music all the time. So I fell in love with it then, and I knew probably by the age of 4 that I wanted to be a singer.
Now, did you realize, or perhaps maybe compared to kids your own age, you realized that you had a skill or you had a talent? Perhaps you were like,
Mm.
you were a little bit more accomplished at that age than others.
At age 4, yeah, because when my parents would have parties and the music would happen, I would make everyone sit down, watch, put on the show, direct the whole show. If there were other kids there, I make sure they had their little part. And yeah, it was weird.
And isn't that funny how many years later you're still producing music and you're still
And
that same
that's,
person?
I never
Isn't
thought
that
about
crazy?
that. That's
It's like you
crazy.
were born to be like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm the youngest of my family, and I was like a little kid where my mother would wind me up and to let me entertain the entire room. So like at all the major holiday events or when we sat around the
Yeah.
table, I'm the one that was singing and dancing and telling the stories and everybody's clapping.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm a ham today is that because of that. I loved it so much. It was an adrenaline rush.
Right.
And as an adult now, I'm like, I still need that fix, man. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, I definitely need the music fix. If it's, I don't know if it's the adrenaline or the attention or what it is, but for me the music is just so healing. If you we've been through so much with the storms, with the COVID and all of that kind of craziness. When we didn't have the music, i I got really afraid. I'm like, what is next for me if there's no music?
So it's a very part of your life. It's very important to you.
It's very deep. Yeah.
So you're a young person, you're singing. So you're getting good at it now. I'm assuming that maybe you got involved with church plays or school plays, or did you do something along
i
those lines?
I did some little theater in Lakeland, Winter Haven, Polk County area where I'm born and raised. And then when I graduated high school, I went to work for Disney, and then I became a Spirit of America singer at Disney World. And that was like a year contract. And at the end of that year, the entertainment director approached me and asked if I would want to go to Tokyo to work at Tokyo Disneyland. So of course, I said yes, and at 20 years old, I was off to Tokyo and stayed over there for a year at
That's
Tokyo
very
Disneyland.
cool.
It was a lot of fun. I learned so much, and it just kind of opened my eyes to the rest of the world. And I knew from that moment on, I didn't want to live in Polk County, unfortunately, anymore. And I wanted to see the world, maybe doing music.
So how would you describe your voice if someone said to you, what do you sound like? Like, could you say? Can you tell me? Like, is it a cross between this
Mm.
person and this person? A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I mean, there's a whole lot of mixtures going on in there. I grew up with Linda Ronstadt, loving
Oh, I love
her
her.
voice
Oh, she's
and
so good.
the power behind her
I
voice.
love her.
It's just amazing, and the clarity. And then when I moved to New York, I had the opportunity to meet and see Shaka Khan like up close and personal, singing and performing, and it just like, oh my God, I was like, I want that voice, I want that power, I want the range that she has. So I don't know. I work as hard as I can to try to achieve the, you know, a bigger range and always add a little bit something new to the
Well,
mix.
the thing is, you definitely have your own sound.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. So, like, you've developed your own Caleb sound.
Yeah.
But, we're all a product of what we were listening to,
Yeah.
growing up and what we were
Yeah.
emulating, right? And what,
Like
singing
Sheila
in the shower,
E.
you know.
And yeah, all the good stuff.
So you're in New York City, right? You're working there. Are you in bands at that point? Are you singing in different New York City bands?
Yeah, so my first week there, I looked into the Village Voice and there was an audition for this place called the Cafe Wah. Cafe Wah is a famous spot from like back in the 50s and 60s with Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Bob Dylan, all did their first performances down at the Cafe Wah. So I'm reading about all this history and I'm like, I gotta go down there and audition. They're auditioning. I go down in the middle of the day. You walk down into a basement. It's really creepy. I'm like, thank God I took somebody with me. And so I'm there, and the owner's there, and he plays guitar. He's amazing, Noam Jorman. And he took me right in. He's like, hey, we'd love to have you to come back tonight and do a special guest spot. I was like, really? So the next week, I was there working 5 days a week in the
Wow,
house band.
that's amazing.
And I did that until I got married and had my little bambino.
So you must have then fallen into some really cool networks and met some really interesting people in those years.
Yeah, that's when I met the musical director for Wilson Pickett. And Wilson Pickett was getting ready to go on tour in Europe. So they needed another background singer. And I had kinda teetered out on the Cafe Wa thing, and so I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to do that. Where are we going?" "Europe." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, count me in." So it was hard because I had a little baby and, but I had the best time and I learned so
It's hard to say
much.
no,
It's hard to say no to something like that.
especially
We're opening for
yeah.
BB King, we're opening for Al Green, Martha and the Vandellas. I mean, it was like this amazing education overnight.
That's a good word, education, because,
Yeah.
I think as musicians, we're always evolving. You wanna
Yes.
hear something funny? So, Thursday night and
Yeah.
2 nights from tonight, I
Yeah.
take my very first vocal lesson.
Shut up.
I decided to go old school and
Oh
go
my gosh.
hire a vocal coach
Okay.
and work on my vocals because I can sing lead and I certainly can sing backups, but I'm limited in what I can do,
Okay.
because of my range.
Yeah.
So, I'm maybe hoping that she teaches me some things.
Yeah.
It's always about the breathing, the posture, that's a
Yeah.
big part of it, but,
It's breaking old
yeah.
habits.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to improve my singing. So and then the same with my bass playing.
Nothing wrong with that.
I constantly practice and I'm constantly learning new stuff. And I like it to a point when you practice so much that it's like secondhand nature. It's like I can my fingers go to places now where I don't even know it's going there because it's just
Right.
trained.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
have to think about it, man.
Yeah. I got an acoustic guitar recently because I really want to learn how to play, but it's so hard. For me, it's like another language.
It is.
And
It is,
I
man.
even cut
It's
my
not easy.
nails. I put my nails back on.
There's
But
certain chords you need to learn, and then there's like basically several chords that are very
yeah,
key in most songs.
yeah,
Um, but the thing about you though is like you're constantly moving on stage,
yeah,
and you're like a strong visual. Like the way that you present your band, which is your product, you're up there doing your thing. It's like I
right.
can't imagine you playing it, holding a
Well,
guitar
well,
guitar.
just for the writing factor, to be able to write, because I have all these stories that I'd love to put to music.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's just now starting to become a part of, I think, what the next step is for me.
That's wonderful.
I've never recorded my own EP, CD, whatever you want to call it these days,
Was
but
there ever a point in the height of your career where perhaps maybe you were approached to do original music, or perhaps maybe an existing band said, "Hey, we
yeah,
need you to fill in or become our new singer"?
yeah. Well, when I was a kid, the band that I was in growing up, I was 11 years old. I was singing in a wedding band
At 11, that's
at
crazy.
11. And the saxophone player had written a song years back and he offered it to us. So we took it to the studio. It was called Herbie the Christmas Rabbit. And the local radio station played it and that kind of thing. We sold a few records at the gigs and things like that. But I don't know, I just kind of got pushed to the side. But I'd really love to be able to put those stories to music.
And you know what? I bet you a lot of people would love to hear those,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because it's gonna
Maybe.
tell a story about things that you've experienced.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your current band and the current lineup.
So the band that is now K Love in the United Funk Foundation is just it's a blessing because I think that we're all in the same mindset and we're all headed in the same direction. Like we want this to get bigger and better. um, the keyboard player Craig Stevenson, he is from Detroit originally. So he's got that upbringing from the Clark sisters and Motown and all of that stuff. And his mind of the music scene is just unbelievable. He could tell you a million different stories of what's gone on in the past with these people. And then there's we call him Squeak. His name is Philip Walker on the drums. And I walked into Ruby's Elixir in downtown St. Pete one night, and I was like, "Oh wow, I really like the way he's playing those drums. I really loved his feel and his attitude, and he looked happy, and he was easy to approach." And at the time, I really wasn't happy with what was going on in the situation. So I talked to him about it. He came in the band immediately, learned all the stuff, took all the threads, worked it out.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And then yeah, so on guitar right now, I have Paul Victor, and Paul Victor's from St. Lucia, and he has his own original music, amazing writer. He really performs. He really is out there performing, and I love that. So he brings in the ladies, he brings in the people who are interested in dancing. He gets
Sure.
them up.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And then there's my right hand is Jeffrey Nelson. Jeffrey Nelson is the bass player and he sings lead vocals like Prince, like Michael Jackson. He has this amazing high pitched voice. So it just works and gels and he helps put the sound together. We do our own sound and lights as well. So it's a lot, but it's a good team.
You've been blessed to be able to handpick your own band,
Yeah.
right? And you're at a point in your career now
Yeah.
where that's expected, where
Right.
you're the leader, you know
Yeah.
exactly what you want,
Exactly.
and you were fortunate to go out and find some really good guys and some good players.
I mean, it took a lot. We This is our fourth year. Our a 4 year anniversary was last Saturday night. Our first gig that we played
4 years, that's
years
great.
ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it we went through a lot of musicians the first 2 or 3
Of course.
years.
Same with
A
me.
lot.
Same with Jacked Up.
Just finding the right mental, you know.
And unfortunately, just when you think everything's gonna go great, you're gonna find out someone's leaving. That's the way it is.
It's the subbing out that kills me. It's like this is a unit. You can't just stick somebody in
I
there.
know,
Yeah.
but here's the deal though.
Yeah.
I agree with that statement, but I'm blessed also is that I know a lot of really good musicians
See, I'll
that
be calling
enjoy
you.
playing with me.
Yeah.
So for an example, I've had several drummers that have been able to come in and they do their homework
Yeah.
and they show up prepared. Now maybe there's 1 or 2 songs we'll take off because they don't know it,
Yeah.
but for the most part, these guys are paid to
Right.
come in and put on a show.
I mean, the key word is doing their homework, right? So if they want to play with the band, I mean, that's definitely a thing.
And like I would say like 50% maybe more is all standard bar stuff that
Hmm.
we all play one way or the other.
Yeah.
And then there's some stuff that's unique. Like some bands will do like a Queen medley or
Yeah.
something that,
We
you
do a lot
you
of
gotta practice.
mashups.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
mashups
do.
are fun. People
Yeah.
love mashups.
Yeah.
Now, you and I play in a lot of the same venues.
Yeah.
When Jacked Up plays at, say, Gator Club, we're full on a dance band,
Yes.
and we just don't stop. We'll play those 1 hour sets. Sometimes it's like a 90-minute set
Yeah.
of just nonstop, just keep them dancing, don't even stop.
Yeah.
And then there's other times when we're doing daytime festivals or biker things where then we pull out the rock
Yeah.
and maybe I'll talk a little bit more in the microphone and maybe we'll, so it's a little different. Like we're able to adapt. Are you guys the same way?
Right. So we haven't been doing a lot of rock lately, but there's a few changes that are coming. Yeah. I'd like to add some of the classic rock stuff that we all grew up dancing to or listening to, Journey and
And maybe some like Guns N' Roses or
oh
something.
yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm sure you can
Definitely.
hit that out of the
Bon
ballpark.
Jovi. Yeah, yeah.
And Journey, it's like women have no problem singing Journey and
Exactly.
Led Zeppelin, right?
Exactly. I mean, and if I can't sing it, then Jeffrey can definitely
There
sing
you
it.
go. There you
Yeah.
go. You have the luxury of that.
Yeah,
You guys you harmonize well together
we do.
and you practice that?
Everybody in the band sings. It's a must.
Harmonies are key. I think what separates a good band from a great band
Yeah,
is the harmonies
agreed.
and the vocals. Because look, there's a lot of really good guitar players. There's a lot of really good singers.
Hmm.
But when I saw a band recently called Rock Candy.
Mm.
They're like they play like arena rock, like Boston, Kansas.
Ooh, I
That's
love that.
and
I
they
was
have
listening to it on the way
4
here.
of the 5 or 6 players sing
Mm.
and they can harmonize. And it's so entertaining to watch because
Oh yeah.
it's like when I see them, I call up my bandmates and I'm like, listen, we got to go back and practice.
Now I want to. Yeah. Now I want to go see them. I love a band that has harmonies, tight harmonies. I was listening to "Carry On My Wayward Son." Oh, I love that music. That was my dad, Sarah.
Well, first of all, they're coming to town, Kansas. They're coming to
I
Tampa, which is
know.
insane, right? They're still
Yeah.
playing. And that when that album came out, man, I had older brothers and sisters that were cranking it on their stereos.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with that song
Yeah.
because it's
Me
like
too.
it's more than just song. There's so many different parts to it.
Right.
Down, down,
It's like a
down,
rock
down,
opera.
down, 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 down,
Yeah.
down, down.
I love that. But that's the way music was in the 70s.
It was different,
It,
man.
it was
It was
it
like
wasn't the loopy same whatever over and over and over and over again. It was like you said, different sections of the
I
song.
think it was very much more guitar orientated, right?
Mhm.
A lot of bands would have 2 guitars, so you always had a
Right.
rhythm track and then you had a
Yeah.
lead track. I think that the songs were more like had a more of a blues background to it.
Right.
Look, nothing against kids today have their sound and they
Yeah.
love it, and they're going to be like, well, my sound's better than your sound, whatever.
Right.
But I'll go to the mats, man. I'll fight to the death. 1973,
Yeah.
74, 76. were 3 of the best years
Yeah.
for classic rock albums, man.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. I love that music so
I
much.
listen to it all the time, and the thing is, and this is another interesting point because, we talked about this the last guest I had, um, you know, when you become a musician, and let's say you get gravitate from the garage, or maybe not so much in your case, because it seems like you just went right to the top of the line, head of the line. But like,
I wish.
but we like all, you know, we kind of sucked in the beginning, then you get better and
Yeah,
better and
of
better.
course, we all did.
And then what happens is you start realizing now that you're getting paid to perform.
Mhm.
And then you start realizing that, well, you know what? It's not so much about me anymore. It's about, you know, what the people want to hear, right?
Yeah.
So maybe for that, at that, then you start playing music that you don't necessarily care for,
Mhm.
but you're doing it because you know that people enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then so you graduate from being a musician to basically to a performer,
Right.
ultimately to an entertainer, where
Exactly.
you're there to entertain, you know, and if somebody wants to hear Sweet Home Alabama, you know, and you can make it work, play it because you're
Fine.
gonna make their day. You're gonna
Exactly.
make their day.
Even at a big high-end wedding in New York City, Sweet Home Alabama is
Isn't
gonna
that
be
crazy?
requested, or Sweet Caroline, or any
Yeah.
of those
And
things.
and we do those songs because
Yeah.
we know, "Don't
Yeah.
Stop Believing." But here's a
Exactly.
funny thing, so, sometimes we used to carry 2 guitar players, now we just go to 1, but when we had our 2nd guy could play slide, so we had Freebird prepared
Mm.
because we knew that this one particular
Some
venue, they
things.
keep screaming Freebird, and we would never play it. Well, you know what we did this one time? We played it, and we killed it.
I love it.
We killed it.
I want to bring so I did Bohemian Rhapsody with the band in Florida before I moved to New York. And then when I got to New York, the band leader was like, "No, I don't want you to sing the soprano part. I want you to sing the second alto part." I'm like, "I don't even know what that is. Where is it?" It's so buried deep in the into the song. So I would love to put that together and bring that back with our
Dude,
5
let me tell you
voices.
something. If you perform that song on a
Mhm.
Sarasota stage, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, right. Shocking.
If I ever had a chance to work with you, like have you
Mhm.
come up and guest with us, there's
Oh,
one song that I would love to do with you. Paradise by the Dashboard
oh
Light.
yeah.
Nobody's doing that song,
Yeah.
and that song is
I
wonderful.
wanna
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be okay, I'll work on it.
But that's what I'm saying is like,
Yeah.
you know, the classic rock and the rock, what it is, people grew up listening to that. The people in our audience,
Mhm.
okay, if you take a look at our demographics, they're what people in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s.
Yes.
When I looked at the back end of my Facebook page and I went through some of the algorithms, my number one fan base is women 65 plus. And I'm like, what are you? That's insane. But they're the ones that are on my Facebook. They're the
Yeah.
ones that are watching, they're
Yeah.
listening, they're commenting.
Yeah. I think that our biggest following are middle-aged women, and I'm okay with that because, we're on the same page.
But you're able to make them move, right?
Yeah.
Whether they're dancing in their
Yeah.
chair or they're getting up on their table,
For
right?
the music is all about helping people forget about whatever they're going through at the moment. Music is that to take you away to another place and time when you remember, "Oh, I remember when this song came out. I remember the first time I heard Ain't Nobody." It's that thing that for me makes it all worthwhile when I see their faces light up like that.
You know, sometimes like you have the perfect gig, like say you're outside under the moonlight,
Yeah.
stars are out, and the band's tight and the vocals are perfect and the sound is perfect and the
Yeah.
volume is just right and everybody's dancing and you know you're coming to that break.
Yeah.
And so you say, all right, folks, we're gonna be back, and everyone's like, no, they want to keep going, but you got to take that break. And then you
Yeah.
come off the stage for a cold drink and people are coming up to you and they're like, oh, you're
I
so
know.
good.
I
Can I get a picture
know.
with you?
Right?
Oh,
That's what I tell people. People are like, you know, how come you never made it? How come, are you a professional? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm a professional. We're getting paid to do this. But I mean, there's so many different levels of success in this business. For me, success means doing what you love and making a living doing it. And if you're able to do that in whatever level that is, then you've made it. That's success.
I'm gonna add a third part to that because I agree
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Doing what you love and getting paid, but then getting people off at the same time. Like
Amen.
people are going nuts
Yeah.
because they're digging it too.
Yeah. Well,
That
I mean, that brings
because
us
your
joy.
band's in high demand. I mean, everybody wants to have you guys play. I think we're in a situation now where it's gotten very competitive here,
Yeah.
in a good way though, not in a
Yeah.
bad way. For
Yeah.
an
Yes.
example, let's go back to the festivals. There's only a certain amount of time slots.
Yeah.
So like, I'll get some time slots, but I don't get as many as I want. And I think what happens is the promoters have more to pull from now, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Bands from Tampa are coming down,
Mhm.
bands from Fort Myers are coming up.
Yeah.
So now Sarasota is becoming this hodgepodge, where in the old days, there was just maybe like, a handful of bands that
Yeah.
dominated down here, just like I'm sure in Tampa.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. Yeah. There's a lot more bands coming this way. We have a manager, so I hear about all the new bands that he's looking at and who's coming here and who's coming where. So I'm aware and pay attention. But for me, it's about adding something new to the show so that every time you're not hearing the same show over and over
Well,
again.
that's a great lead to my next question.
Yeah.
So, how do you work your set lists? How do you work in new songs? Who determines what the new songs are going to be? Like, how do you handle that
I
stuff?
mean, we have like meetings about it. Like we just say, okay, I'm gonna put in 2 songs, you put in 2 songs. It's the rehearsal part that's the hard part of getting everybody together to do that. But at this level, everybody should know their part so that we can just come together and put it
Of course,
together.
you guys are professional
Yeah,
musicians, and if you
exactly.
do your homework,
Yeah,
you show up prepared, you can bang it
exactly.
out. In fact, there are times when we've done songs live for the very first time
Right.
because we were confident that we could do it because we all
Absolutely.
did our homework.
Same. Yeah. Many, many times. But, yeah, so I just like going back and maybe adding some, like, 80s and 90s stuff, like Gloria Estefan, just anything that makes the people move that I can bring in whoever is in the audience.
Now, when you're doing your set list, are you cognizant of beats per minute? And this song will flow to this one, and then we're going to get them up to there, and then we're going to bring them down slowly. Are you familiar with maybe what where you would start a song and then where you would take it? Because like there's a flow.
Yeah,
See, so like I'm constantly trying to figure out what's the best flow. Like set two is our money
right.
set because always set one's always like people are just showing up.
Yeah.
Set three they're like drunk and going home. Set two is the money set.
Same,
So
absolutely.
like our set two could be 90 minutes
Yeah,
as opposed to 60 or whatever.
right.
And but we have it down to a science now where it's like boom, 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 boom. And it's
Yeah,
like nonstop dancing.
yeah, so it depends on the situation. We could do 3 one-hour sets and start out with nice and easy, working our way up, maybe through the oldies a little bit because there's an older crowd early in the night. And then second set, we're gonna come in hard with the little dance stuff, keeping that moving. And like you said, the last set, it just depends on, how involved and how they're if they're still in it.
Well, a great example would be Gator Club.
Oh
I
yeah.
love Gator Club, love the
Ugh,
owners.
I do too.
It's tough to play from that last set one to two. It's tough.
It is
But
tough.
sometimes it's weird. Sometimes we'll have a full dance floor from one to two
Yeah.
and people screaming for more.
Yeah.
Other times we play there and it's crickets from one to two. So it depends on the night.
It depends on the time of year when people are here and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Now, are you
It's
wearing inner ears?
I wear in-ears occasionally. It depends on like a festival I can wear my in-ears. It depends on who's mixing because if it's a smaller stage or a small room, I can have a monitor in the front and I'm good with that.
But do you ever find yourself getting annoyed because you have to strain? See, the inner ear or kick-ass monitor
Yeah.
prevents you from having a strain because you can hear yourself and you can hear everybody else.
Right. And when I finally switched over to in-ears, I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." But then it just seems to get louder
I
and
know.
louder and
Or they fall out.
yeah, it's just
You know what? You can get them custom fitted. See, here's the thing with that. And
yeah.
I like to wear inner ears at certain venues, and there's
Mhm.
certain venues I don't want to wear them.
Right.
But I do notice I'm a better performer with them on
I think so
because I can
too.
truly hear a pin drop. I can hear everything that's going on around me, and I have my own little mixing device where I can
Yeah.
mix out what I want.
That's what I don't have down yet. I have it on my little pad, but yeah, I need to dial that in a little bit more. But yeah, certain shows I'd rather have the monitor because I feel free. I can hear everything better that's going on stage.
Now, here's a question that I have. We put a tip jar out there, and
Yeah.
we used to have this like lights on it, so it was
Yeah.
like obvious it was a tip
I have
jar.
Christmas lights on
And
ours.
and and one of my bandmates is like, K Rock, you have to even you should even put a sign that says tips with an arrow
I mean, you
to make
have
it
to.
as simple as
You
possible.
have to.
Make
I put the K-Love Circle sticker on it, right? So they ask, where can I buy the band? KLoveEntertainment.com. And then on top of that, tips. Yeah, they have to.
but here's the question. Is it okay to say on the microphone, hey folks, don't forget to tip your bartenders. And if you're digging the band, go ahead and take care of, how do you phrase that? Like,
I
because I
think
think it's
that's a
awkward.
great
Sometimes I find it to be awkward.
It's awkward. I don't care how you say it. It's awkward asking people to. I always see one of our regulars, and I'll say, "Hey, if you don't mind, you could take the bucket around."
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, that
and
works.
it makes them
That
get involved with
works.
us, and it works, and that way, if they want to, they can, if they don't, it's fine. Nobody's putting you on the spot, you're not in a
You
spotlight.
know what? It's funny because, like, look, we all love tips, right?
Yeah,
And there are some guys that legitimately will come in and put 100 or a 50,
yep,
20s, which is great.
yep,
And then you can't discount the person that puts a dollar because maybe for them that dollar is a big deal. So it
exactly,
adds up. But
absolutely.
it's like I feel like, hey, folks, why don't you stop being so damn cheap and tip the man? Like you can't say that.
You can't say that. I always say, well, if I say anything, I say, "Hey, don't forget about, to fill up the bucket over here for the boys, they need a little gas
There
money."
you go, perfect.
Yeah, that's it.
Or you can call your bucket. You can name your bucket Philip.
I do. I call him Philip. Fill up the bucket. And, the bass player who does our sound, I give him an extra, from the tips because he puts
Sure,
our sound together.
sure.
So
How do you handle your policies about alcohol on stage? Do you guys allow to drink? Do you not drink? How do you handle that?
I, I don't really have a policy, but I have said, don't be obvious. And if you're obvious, then I'm going to have to call you out on it. So let's not have that discussion. You're an adult. I'm not going to babysit you. If you get out of hand, your job's in jeopardy. I'm just not going to allow it because it's reflecting on the name of the band.
And it's a business.
And it is a business. And although I used to drink back in the 90s when I would play in clubs and things like
Sure.
that, I definitely don't do that now.
Oh, neither do I. But here's the thing.
My voice couldn't handle it.
There's
Yeah.
certain venues that still bring us shots.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I don't do
Well,
shots
that's
anymore, but like it's a nice gesture.
yeah,
The last time I did a shot, somebody gave me a double shot of something that I hated.
yeah.
And because the whole band was doing it and everybody was looking at us and it was like a toast, I did it. And I was like, oh my God. I felt so
Well,
sick.
3 of us in the band don't drink, and 2 do. So I said, "Just keep it under control and, don't make a scene. We'll
You
be
know,
alright."
look, having one or two before you go on, if you're
Mhm.
adult, is perfectly fine.
Exactly.
Just don't. Why should we have a Budweiser bottle or can on
Yeah.
the stage?
You're not here to party, you're here to work.
Right.
It's a
And
job.
that's part of the maturity, I
Yeah,
think, of evolving into a performer and an
100%.
entertainer is that now it's no longer about your buzz, it's about their buzz.
Yeah, and if you're too buzzed, you can enjoy their buzz.
What is your policy about trying to help the venue sell drinks or food? Like, for an example, we used to have a jacked up drink, which is
Oh,
basically just a shot of Jack Daniels.
nice.
And what would happen is we would talk to the venues in advance and say, okay, we're going to do a $5 Jack shot
Yeah,
night. So what we would do is we would promote that on stage. And then at the end of the night, maybe they made a couple extra $100 because of
yeah.
that.
I like that. I mean, when we play a few different places, I'll say, "Let's do a Kimberlina margarita." You know, that's my nickname, Kimberlina. So that's the spicy side of Caleb. So Kimberlina margarita will
That's
make a
great.
$5, drink or something. Ask the venue if that's cool with them. And they're like, "Oh yeah, whatever we can do to promote them."
Do you make your merchandise available at all your shows?
Oh yeah, it's just
Because you know
t-shirts.
what? I'm going to show this shirt
Okay,
on the
those are
camera.
that's the dude shirts, and we have pink shirts for the ladies and black tank
See if
tops.
my producer will show us this. This is a cool shirt, and I'm going to wear it at the gym because I like to wear rock shirts at the gym. Isn't that great?
Yeah,
And
tough.
I love your logo, the little animated logo.
Thank you. The guy, an illustrator from Rolling Stone magazine, did that for us.
No kidding.
Yeah, amazing. We've been really blessed. It's been a crazy ride. Like I said, I grew up in Florida and I grew up on country music. And I always thought I was going to be a country singer. I went to Nashville and was recording there, and then all of a sudden, the universe changed and I ended up in New York.
Could you sing country if you had to? Like, could you cover like Shania Twain
Oh
and
yeah,
all that stuff?
yes,
I mean, I know you're a funk band,
yeah.
but do you actually have like a little, maybe like a little country set or like a thing in there that
Yeah,
you?
well, we do a duo as well, the bass player and I. So when we do that, I add the country music in there. So yeah, Shania Twain and Reba McEntire and I can't think of any more right now. But yeah, a lot of country.
Yeah, we do Country Girl Shake It for
Yeah.
me. We do Save a Horse Ride a
Oh, ooh,
Cowboy.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, I feel like a woman.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I love the
Before He
Linda
Cheats.
Ronstadt. Oh yeah.
Oh, see,
Carrie
Linda Ronstadt.
Underwood.
So I was in another band. I was in a lot of little bands before Jacked Up,
Yeah.
and we would cover some Linda Ronstadt. I used to love Heat Wave.
Yeah,
That was a great bass line.
yeah.
Um,
What's it? Whenever I'm with him,
and
something
yeah, that's right.
inside.
And then there was another song she did called "Poor, Poor, Pitiful
Oh
Me."
yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
that cool?
yes.
Oh my god, you should next
I
time I
love
see
her.
you, you have to do Linda Ronstadt for me.
Okay, good.
I wanna hear a Linda Ronstadt medley or perhaps
That's a
you
good
know what's a
idea.
cool thing about that? A lot of her songs I think would flow. I think I'm gonna check what key they're in
Yeah,
because 'cause they're probably in, like, all the same key or more or less, and you
uh,
could probably mash those,
that would be a great idea.
right?
It'd be a great little, maybe even first set, just to put it in the middle. That's a great idea. Thank you, K
See?
Rock.
You come to the K-Rock show and
K
you walk
Rock's
away with
giving
this
me
all these wonderful
new
ideas. You know, it's
ideas.
funny, I'm always thinking about new ideas, and I'm always
Yeah,
thinking about new music, and I'm
yeah,
trying to figure out what can I sing, like,
yeah,
I'm constantly listening to music and figure, I can sing that. I can cover Bruce Springsteen,
yeah.
I can, you know.
Hey, and what's up with iHeart?
Well,
Are
it's
you
funny
with?
you ask.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people don't know this, but, my day job now is I'm selling for iHeart Radio,
Oh wow.
and I'm based in Charlotte County, and, we got some really kick-ass stations down there. One of them is actually a country station,
Wow.
but, I'm also available. I can sell stations all over the country nonetheless,
Yeah.
but, I've always been a sales and marketing guy, and, I worked in TV. I used to work for
Mm,
Fox. I used to work for CBS.
wow.
I lived in New York, Chicago, LA, Atlanta, and, I'm kinda like I'm not retired by any means, but I'm kinda heading in that direction. So, I took a local job,
Yeah.
with a local company, iHeart obviously is a massive company, but they're very local in the sense that they have these local stations where there's DJs with
Mm,
personalities and people call in and request songs,
right.
and then you go out to the car dealerships and we have live remotes and things like that. So
Oh,
it's cool.
so you can kind of make your own schedule,
I
or
mean, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
more or less. I mean,
yeah.
I work with businesses, and what I
Mm-hmm.
do is I give them a free evaluation, and
Mm,
I ask them a series of questions, and we figure out, what their needs are, and then I'll
right.
come back to them with a proposal. In this case, solutions,
Yeah.
and I'll say, look, we could talk about budgets and what they can afford and what they're trying to reach, and then we'll put together
Mm,
campaigns. And the radio is so powerful. I mean, look, think about it. You were living it and breathing, listening to radio as a young person,
yeah.
and you would wait for certain songs to come on,
Yeah. You'd call
um,
and request
call and
them.
request, and then
Yeah.
but that
Or
made you the great
record
singer
them.
today. Is that Linda Ronstadt was a great
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Radio is such a
Absolutely.
part of our lives. I mean,
It really
in the
was.
70s, when I started driving and my girlfriend and I would go out, we couldn't go anywhere, so we would just hang out in the car and drink and listen to the radio.
I
I
love
mean, those were
that.
the best times of my life,
Yeah, of
right?
course. Because the music brought it like that. It was everything. Yeah.
So when to your point is when you're performing live in front of men and women our age and older, and they dug those songs too, man.
Right.
So if you pull a Kansas song out and you sing that live, man,
Right.
people are going to be blown away.
Can you imagine? That would be, ugh. Yeah. I
For that
mean,
one, what you do is you strip it down and just kind of like do not a cappella, but you just do it like
hmm,
maybe in your duo.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That would be great. And the vocals. Yeah, for
So,
sure.
what were some of your favorite records growing up? Like, if you had your all time favorite records right here in front of you
Mm,
from your growing up, like what's in that collection?
well, hmm. Obviously, Linda Ronstadt. A lot of country music, Barbara Mandrell. But my all-time favorite artist of all time, you're gonna laugh, is Barbara Streisand.
Well, I mean,
I
no,
wanted to
I don't
be
blame you.
her.
Well, think about it,
I
man.
wanted to
I
be
mean,
her.
Celine Dion
Yeah.
and all these new women came,
Yes.
but she was the original, man.
The
Right?
original. And when I tell you, when the A Star Is Born album came out, and I listened over and over and over. Evergreen was the first
Oh,
song
what a
that I
beautiful song.
learned, and I sang it at a wedding when I was 11.
That's wonderful.
But I just wanted to be her so bad. She was so amazing, and my mother would say, "If you sing that song one more time,"
I
like,
know,
"but how am I gonna learn if I don't?"
but think about this. If you can emulate her voice at a young age and her range, that's wonderful, man.
It was the way that I developed my voice
Sure.
over and over again. And I recently, well, not recently, about 2, 3 years ago, she came to Tampa at the, what is it, the Amelie? Yeah.
Emily Arena.
Yes. And so an ex-boyfriend's cousin knew that I was a huge Barbara Streisand fan. And so I get this phone call. It's like Tuesday. He goes, "Hey, Kim, it's Tommy." I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" He goes, "I'm gonna be in town with Barbara." I said, "Streisand?" He said, "Yeah, I'm her head security." He goes, "I know you're a big fan. Do you want tickets?" I was like,
Very cool.
how many can I get?" So we went, and we were like, I could see the veins in her neck
Did you get
popping out.
emotional?
I got so emotional, and my mom went with me, and we held hands and cried like, crazy little girls.
Did you get a chance to meet her?
I did not get to meet her. I noticed during the show that one of her background singers was about to have a baby. And so I reached out to Tommy. I said, "Hey, who's replacing her? I know every single song
Nice.
and I know her part." And so he said, "Well, get me a reel and they are looking for someone and you'll come and audition if we're going to continue the tour." This was the end of December. And so I sent them a reel. The manager really liked it. He said, "But she doesn't want to go out again." So that was the end of that dream. But
Did you ever like when American Idol first came out? Were you interested in doing that, or that wasn't your thing?
well, it's funny because American Idol came out. I was too old to audition even at that point. But there's a little show way before American Idol called Star Search
I
that I was
remember that.
on in
I
1993.
remember Star Search.
Yeah, I was on. So I was working at Pleasure Island at Disney with a band called Tabasco. And I was singing and the producers walked in. I had been trying to get on the show for years and years and years. And they happened to need one more singer for the show that year. And I got called. So I went up against Beth Hart, who has probably 8 or 9 blues
Sure,
albums
I know Beth
now.
Hart.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she had won 11 times, and that night she beat me by a few stars.
That's good
And
competition. I mean,
it was
if
amazing.
you're going neck to head and head with for her, man,
Yeah.
that's pretty strong.
Yeah, she was amazing, and, it was a thrill, and then I got a call after the show to do what they called the Star Search review at MGM Studios. At the time, it was called MGM Studios, and that was from Ed McMahon. He called me and he said, "Hey, Kim, we'd like you to come and do the review at Disney." It's like, "When do I start?" So
So the fact that you lived near Disney was so convenient for you,
it was.
and then for you to be able to sing there for as long as you did
Yeah.
tells
About
me that you must have been very, very good,
about
and you
7
took
or
it
8
you took
years.
it very seriously.
Yeah.
Did it pay well? Were there good perks to it?
Oh, yeah, much better than, working at Wawa or something. You know, Disney was amazing, and it gave me opportunities to go around the world, so
Did you ever have to wear like a costume? Like, did they ever ask you to be a character?
no, so the Spirit of America singers had costumes. We wore these big white skirts with crinoline, a white shirt with red stars across us. We were in the parade every day and did, like, 5 Kids of the Kingdom shows in front of the castle, and it was a lot of work, but I learned so much from the musical director, Derek Johnson, who is also the director for, Epcot. What are they called? Oh, I forgot the name of the singers there, but the same director. And so, yeah, it was an education, definitely.
You know what's great about Disney and Universal is that they'll have live music,
Mm,
and sometimes they'll have local cover bands. Usually, they'll bring in national acts that you haven't seen or heard in a while.
right.
But I had a friend's band that had a chance to play, and I guess you have to play like a 2:30 set, like a 4:30 set, and like a 6:30
Yeah,
set, right? That's how
yeah,
they do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have that at, what's it called? Disney Springs, and they have a few really great bands out there, but it's a lot of sets.
You know, it's funny. When I was living with my girlfriend a long time ago, we got the $99 Florida resident Disney pass. Remember that?
Yes.
So we were able to. There were blackout dates, but we would
Yeah.
go on the non-blackout dates, obviously, and we would take advantage of the park, and we would go all the time.
Yeah.
And we used to love to go to Epcot,
Yeah.
and we would walk the whole countries and have like a drink here and maybe have a snack over there and like do the whole thing.
That's the
Did you
best.
ever do that stuff?
I didn't do that, but I worked at Epcot. That was my first gig at Disney, and I was still in high school. So I was um, a Scottish girl in the Christmas Spectacular show with Debbie Boone. So we would leave there and walk around and eat food from each place. Yeah, like
Did
Morocco and
people get like
Thailand.
if you're an employee, you get a discount, all that stuff?
Oh yeah, big discounts.
Because you know what was interesting? Like when I was in Canada, the women that were working there, they were like teenagers, you know, college girls from like they really were from Canada and they really spoke French Canadian, and
Mhm.
like they go out of their way to hire people that are going to give you a good experience
Right.
for that country, right?
For Epcot, yes, absolutely.
And I think they have dorms for them now, and they can house them and stuff.
Yeah, that was the fun part because these people would come in from all around the world and you just meet these interesting people. Yeah, that was amazing. Brought me back.
Hey, friends, it's K Rock from the Jacked Up Podcast. There's a great opportunity for you to go have some fun with your family and friends. AMI Private Dolphin and Boat Tours. Go check them out. AMIBoatingTours.com. Go ahead and book a tour. Get a charter. You're going to love it. So when you're not performing, what are you doing? Are you going out and seeing other bands? Do you have a little side job you do? Tell us a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes.
So behind the scenes, I'm constantly working on the schedule and writing contracts for private events and things like that. Um, and then just trying to stay in shape.
Well, first of all, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
But you must get a lot of weddings. You're a great wedding band. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, you play all that great wedding
we
music.
do a lot of cocktail hour kind of music. This first thing I asked the guys to learn that so that we can do these private corporate events or weddings because I know the spiel. I lived in New York, worked the high end weddings and private
You got to do Etta
parties.
James at last,
Of
right? People love that.
course. Yeah,
My nephew got married, and that was their wedding song.
I love it. It's a great song.
Oh, you can wail on that thing.
Yeah, it's a really great song. In the key of F. It was a lot of fun though. New York was great. I loved that stuff. It was so easy. You walk in and the sound system is set up and no work, just
So,
singing.
how would you summarize your New York experience? If you had to just give me a short summary, like, how would you explain that whole experience you had?
Well, mm, I mean, when I came from Florida, I had my name on the marquee at the country bar I was singing in. I had worked in the top 40 top band and JJ Whispers and all these great spots. So I thought that I was pretty, okay, I was good. And then I got to New York. And so I was humbled and I kept my head down and my mouth shut and I paid attention and I earned my dues. I got my stripes, because I worked hard at it and I paid
There's a
attention.
good lesson there.
It was a good lesson. And there's a lot of to be said about integrity and in this business and there's a lot lacking. So I would say to anybody who's trying to make it in this business or have their own band or whatever their thing is with music, you have to be serious about it. It's if you want it to be your job, you
Well, it's a
know.
good testament to your character and your personality and your work ethic
Yeah.
that you've been able to make a go with it for all these years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, to be a professional singer and to be, in those markets. I mean, did you mention earlier that you went through Nashville? Did you do
I
it in
was in
Nashville?
Nashville. I had a manager and that was connected to Mel Tillis. So we flew up to meet Mel Tillis in Nashville and he gave me a bunch of songs to record. So we recorded those songs and then I met oh, I can't remember the names, but some more agents and managers that were ready to sign me in an artist development deal. But at that point in my life, I had met my husband and
Was your husband a musician?
he wasn't. He's not. He's owns a restaurant. He's a pizza maker in New York, the best
I
pizza in the
love that.
world. Yeah, yeah. He has several restaurants, yeah. So
Eh,
he's
so
my
he has some.
ex-husband now, but
Oh, he's still in New York.
yeah, he's in
Okay,
New Jersey. Yeah,
gotcha.
Jersey guy.
Because the pizza is fantastic, but that's a whole nother
Amazing. So
conversation.
another conversation, yeah. But just yeah.
But he was encouraging of your career and your music at that
He
time.
was for a little while until we had a child and then the ultimatum came, wanting me to stay home and have children. But this is who he met, and this is who I
Sure.
was and I am and always will be a
How old is your
musician.
child now?
He is going to be 30.
Wow.
He's going to be 30 in February.
Does he have
He's
any musical aspirations or
no,
talents?
no, he's super smart. He's in finance. He's a corporate bond salesman. He's the youngest and the highest level corporate bond salesman for a big financial
Good
firm
for
out in
him.
LA. Yeah, I'm super proud, super proud. But
Does he come to visit you for Christmas and holidays?
he just
For
came
Thanksgiving?
from LA for
That's
Thanksgiving.
wonderful.
Yep, my heart is full. I had a nice 5-day visit with him and his lovely girlfriend. So,
What do you think of Los Angeles? Have you been out there, and what are your thoughts on that place? Because it's New Yorkers don't really, I mean, I know you're not a New Yorker, but you're kind of like a New Yorker.
yeah,
But
25 years.
we us New Yorkers had a tough transition. I lived there for a year, and I just
Yeah.
it was tough for me. I don't know what your thoughts on that were.
Yeah, my son had a rough transition too, and he's not in the business. But I went out there a couple of times, and I have family in Modesto, but LA is just another animal. I don't know. It's not for me. It's really not. I I didn't, and it's changed from what I hear from so many people that do live out there in the music business.
Change for the worse or the
I
better?
I think for the worse, because I have a friend, Carlos Murguia, works for Disney. We worked for Disney together, and he has had major success with just being a studio musician and recording. There's not a big live scene out there any longer.
Yeah, I know
So
it's sad.
I have no reason to be out there then.
Plus, New York, you can grab it. You know, you can get around New York simply, fairly easy in New York. You know, you can
Right.
walk places, short cab rides. LA, you have to have a car.
Yeah.
You know, and
And it's
then you gotta find
hours.
parking.
And it's hours with the
You know,
traffic from Malibu to
so
wherever.
I lived in Santa Monica for
Oh.
1 year. I lived on Bay Street,
Mhm.
and I could walk to the beach. And I worked at Century Park East,
Oh, yeah.
2025 Century Park East, the two towers.
Yes.
And my territory at the time, I worked for Xerox. I was selling copiers in Beverly Hills.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a kid right out of college, you
Wow.
know, driving up and down, LA, you know, El Segundo, and I was,
I love it.
El Sepulveda, and all these streets that were just gridlock. I mean, it was like back
That's
then, the traffic was bad. I can only imagine what it is now.
ugh. I was out there for a couple days with my son, and we went back again not too long ago, but it was just it's more driving than Florida, I think. And I drive a lot in Florida from Naples to Newport Richey.
You know, we love Florida because we get used
Yeah.
to it and you get
Yeah.
set into a way. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
the humidity sucks.
Yeah.
Summers are brutal.
They are.
I actually love this weather, and I
It's
refuse to put my heat
perfect.
on, and I refuse to wear a jacket because I like to be cold.
I did put heat on this morning, but yeah, I love it.
Are you in Clearwater,
I'm in St. Pete.
St. Pete?
Yeah.
St. Pete has got a wonderful downtown,
I
man.
love St. Pete.
You
I'm
know?
8 minutes from
Isn't
downtown.
that great?
I'm 8 minutes to Paso Grill Beach.
So many wonderful places to eat and drink and shop.
Mhm.
I go to like at least 2 Rays games a year,
Oh, yeah.
you know? So I like to go to that sports bar that's right there.
That's Ferg's.
Ferg's,
I
yeah.
love
I wanna
Ferg's.
get my band to play there
Mark
once.
Ferguson is amazing. You should play there.
Yeah,
They would love you there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a great
I know
spot.
the Fulcos play there a
Oh,
lot,
yeah, quite often, I
and I'm
think.
wondering if maybe because they have management, like, I don't
Yeah,
have any representation, I do
yeah,
it myself,
yeah.
and
We played
some
there quite a
bands. Are
bit.
you with Artie?
I
Artie?
am. Artie
Yeah,
Fletcher
yeah,
Management.
Artie's a good
Mhm.
guy, and he's able to get some good gigs, you
Yes,
know?
absolutely.
So maybe I should call Artie and see if he wants to help me.
I would love that. Yeah,
Um,
he would love that.
he's a New Yorker, right?
He's a hardcore New Yorker. He's a comic. Yeah. He has been in the management booking agent business for
You
years and
know
years and
who I
years
think
in New
doesn't
York.
Twinkle still work with him?
Yes, yes. Twinkle and
Twinkle's
Roxville
awesome.
Radio. I
I
love
love Twinkle. I
her.
was just talking to her,
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah.
She's gonna be in that chair in a couple weeks.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, she's great.
She's one of my favorite people, and her latest album,
Freaks and Geeks or something?
Freaks
Freaks?
and Weirdos.
Yeah.
I sang on 5 songs in background on that album because she worked with my mentor, Bobby Croft, and he has an amazing studio out in Sorrento, which is close to Orlando.
I just remembered something. I saw you singing live with Twinkle at this downtown comedy club a couple years ago. She did an original night, and you were there.
When she released the album?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is that the first time that
Now I remember. I was like 10 feet away from you
Yeah,
watching, because I'm friends with her bandmates as well,
yeah,
like Lenny,
yeah.
her guitarist,
I
that
love
sets up my
Lenny.
basses and stuff.
Yeah.
They're all great people.
Yeah,
Tony's
yeah, and
great.
Tony, her brother.
But yeah, so Twinkle's gonna be on the show, and she's what's great about Twinkle is that her voice is very unique.
Yes.
There's no doubt.
Her style is completely unique.
And she's like a walking ray of sunshine. Like
Mhm.
she just brings brightness and she
Yes.
brings light and she brings happiness to wherever she goes.
She
And the
does.
fans love her, man. Like
Yeah.
everybody loves her.
She's so giving, she's so giving of herself to the fans, and you're right, she's just a bright light.
She's a true entertainer,
Yeah.
you know, and
She
her
she's a
band's
star,
awesome.
I believe that.
Well, I was gonna save this till she shows up here, but I'll
Yeah.
say it now, and she may see this.
Yeah.
Um, my bass was sitting under my bed collecting dust, and I wasn't performing. And I came to Sarasota, and I was in a kind of a strange part of my life at that point. And I saw Twinkle play a couple times at these festivals that now I'm a part of, and she inspired me.
Yeah.
Watching her and her band inspired me to get my bass out, start playing, and I put together a band because, like you,
Oh my
I'm a
god.
leader and I make things
Yes.
happen,
Yes.
and I surround myself with really good musicians.
Yeah.
And
It's a
I
must.
said, screw it, I'm going to get a band. And I went to Band Mix, Craigslist, went through a bunch of different people until I
Mhm.
found the right guys, the right girls, the right sound. And then Jacked Up took off. And we've been around now for what, 5 years maybe?
That's awesome. That's
So I
awesome.
credit
What a
her.
great
I
story.
credit Twinkle
Yeah.
because she inspired me because I got goosebumps, man, when I saw her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
She just gives so much. Yeah.
And then I don't know if you've seen bands like 22N. You know them?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, they are,
Kristen and David are amazing at
first of all,
people,
Kristen
first
is
of all.
the ultimate front person.
Yeah.
She's got the poise and she's
Yes.
elegant and she's the
The
epitome of a lead singer. In fact, I
Yeah.
have a young lead singer
Yeah.
and I say to her, "Hey, just watch Kristen, man.
Yeah.
There's no lyrics up there. There's no iPads.
Mhm.
So my singer actually, to her credit now, has gotten rid of her comfort stuff. Like
Good.
sometimes it's comforting to have that there, like a security blanket.
Yeah.
The lyrics.
Yeah.
Ah, man, you can memorize that stuff.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it.
Just you have to put it to them like this. You memorize how many things on the bass guitar
Notes.
as well as singing. So you're singing and playing bass sometimes,
Oh
right?
yeah, it's hard, dude. It's not
It's
easy.
really hard. I
I mean,
wa
whenever I make a boo boo, I'm like, well, I'm trying. I'm a singing bass player. You
Exactly.
know,
And I think that's like it's so admirable because it what for me, it's like the least I can do is learn the words, right? The
how many
lyrics.
songs in your brain? Like, how many songs do you freaking memorize? I mean, you must have like 1,000
A
in
lot.
there that you know all
There's
the
a
words
lot.
to.
From I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee to Ain't Nobody.
You're like a walking jukebox.
Well, I could be. How annoying would that be? When I'm not on stage, I'm barely ever singing. Just maybe to warm up.
Well, that's a great question. So, how do you warm up before a show?
Mhm.
What advice do you have for for your voice? Like, for
Yeah.
example, I had some issues where I had a tough time singing, so I gargled with the
Mhm.
salty water.
Mhm.
I had the lozenges. Like, what do you do?
Same. I do when I'm in the shower, I just start um basically warming up my mouth and moving my tongue from top to bottom of my teeth and like blowing bubbles with your lips, warming up your face first and then starting with the me my mo moo ti te tai to tu li le la lu, getting your tongue to be active and move because sometimes it's lazy. So that and just trying to reach, the volume that you're.
Do you like sometimes stretch to a point? Like, I know where they say you were supposed to sing from
Mm,
down here. Sometimes, like, I practice breathing and I'll stretch and I'll try
yeah,
to like,
yeah,
and then when it's time to sing, I purposely like take that deep breath in and just let it out. And I'm trying to get it from here as opposed to from here.
yeah, yeah. So if I was going to give you a lesson about breathing, the first thing I would tell you is lay on the floor with a pile of books and push those books up as high as you can and hold it there as long as you can and see how slowly you can bring those
No
books
kidding.
down because you're working your diaphragm muscle and that's the muscle that's going to
Nice.
help you control your volume and the amount of vocalizing you can do.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's it's just the little things, of being able to you put your fingers where your jaw dropped, where it opens, and realizing that a sound can come from the top of your mouth and sound one way. And then if you cock your head back a little bit, you're going to get more of a gottle throat kind of thing going on.
So you must have
So
perfect pitch or pretty much close to it.
I don't know if I have perfect pitch, but I work on it pretty hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
hopefully.
Did you ever see the movie, the Queen movie, the story of Freddie Mercury?
Yes.
Wasn't that guy phenomenal, what he could do,
Unbelievable.
right? The ranges that he was
Yes.
able to go, and then a
Unbelievable.
scientist said it's based on the fact that his head was shaped a certain way,
Yeah.
his ethnicity, his teeth, like, there were
Yeah.
certain
Yeah,
factors
so if he
that
woulda
allowed
changed
him
his teeth, he would
to do what he did.
yeah, it would've
Isn't that
changed
wild?
his whole sound. It would've changed the resonance, of how it was coming out. Yeah. I bel
Speaking of, like, early influences in my favorite records, when Queen came out, I was blown away, man. I couldn't believe that somebody could sing like that,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
I didn't really know that record until years later. So, yeah, he blows me away to this day. Amazing.
Do you do any Queen?
We don't.
Maybe it's time for you to do a Queen song or a
I
medley.
I think it's time for us to do a little rock and roll
You know
medley.
what? I think it's always good for every band to have a little rock and roll medley in there,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. And it's danceable rock and roll. Yeah.
So as we wrap
Sure.
up the show,
Yeah.
right? It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you so
This
much for
hour went by
having me.
fast.
Thank you.
What are the things that you love the most about I'll ask you two questions. What's in store for 2025 for K Love and the Funk, United Funk?
Yeah.
And then what do you love the most about performing locally?
Well, I love the people and the and to like we said earlier, just to watch their faces light up and they forget about whatever they came there worrying about. And then when I get off stage, it's not a job to me. It's my passion. So I enjoy going and hugging them
You
and
interact with
talking
the
to
fans. You're
yeah,
very engaging with them.
I'm out there. I go and speak to everyone that wants to speak, that's available to speak. I want to hear their story. I want to know what they're all about, where they're from. And I like enjoy getting close to the people. I really do.
And I bet you a lot of the fans like it that they can come and talk to you and maybe
Yeah.
get a picture with you or something,
Yeah. Of
right?
course, always.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't believe that when people came up to me after a seafood festival
Yeah.
and they wanted to take my picture. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" Like either like they don't have anything going on in their life that they want to take a picture with me.
You're a rock
But you know
star.
what it was? I was all blinged out. I had the big boots on,
Okay.
and I had the muscle shirt
That
on,
helps.
and the bling. So like
Yeah.
I kind of looked like
Yeah.
somebody that you want to take
You
a
should
picture
do
with.
some of the sparkle stuff like
Yeah,
Twinkle and I do on our
or I could do
face.
the David Bowie, like
Yeah,
But
exactly.
no,
But 2025 is going to be more music, more rock. We're going to add the rock and roll. We're going to add some Latin music as well because I love that. And I want to start doing more corporate events and private parties and
are you
things
on the
like that.
Bash? That website called the Bash.
No, tell me.
There's a I'll send you the links. There's a
Yeah.
corporate website where people will find you for weddings.
Okay.
It used to be called something else. Now it's called the Bash. But it's wonderful because I get these offers all the time. Now,
Yeah.
either A, I'm already playing, or
Right.
B, it's just not, in my geography.
Yeah.
But like a lot of it's Tampa.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Tampa area people are looking for like corporate stuff, weddings.
We do a lot of 55 and up communities and that kind of thing, which is fun. And we did some Naples Country Club stuff last year. But yeah, I would like to take it into the New York City style and start doing more of that, as well as the festivals and the clubs, because the clubs and the festivals keeps it real and makes you
Why don't you get
humble.
on Artie's ass and say, listen, you need to start booking us more?
I'm on his ass every day. You have no idea. I type him in the morning before he wakes up. Are you up? I need to talk to you right now. How come she's there and I'm not there yet?
Well, listen, I can certainly help you.
Because I want to
I
get in that club.
I can't guarantee anything, but I do have a lot of connections and I do know a
Yes, you
lot of people.
do. Yes, you
And
do.
I can certainly put in a good word for you.
I appreciate
You know what's
that.
something really cool? So Aurora
And I'll
5.
put a good word in for you with Mark Ferguson at
Well, thank you.
yeah, Fergs.
Aurora 5, their lead singer, Malou,
Okay.
she called me up the other day and said, listen, there's a gig that we cannot do because
Oh,
my drummer has to go out of town or something.
yeah.
And instead of me just calling up the owner and telling him, I was going to recommend you, are you free that night? And would you commit to this amount of money? So I said, yeah, we're free. Well, that works. She called. So she said, it's yours. And she called up the guy. He said, I'm pulling out, but I have a replacement. They're excellent. So it worked. So now we're playing a
Oh,
venue.
oh,
It's called
nice.
Whiskey, Wings, and Oldsmar. It's like a
Yes,
sports bar.
I played there.
Yeah, we're going to play there
It's really nice.
for the very first time.
It's really nice. You're gonna love it.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah.
So yes, we can
And the
help
people
each
are
other.
nice there. Yes, we can, and I believe in that.
So we'll let our listeners know that they can go to your website, which
Yes,
is
KLUV Entertainment.com, KLoveEntertainment.com.
okay. which is funny because mine's Jacked Up Entertainment LLC, which is the same.
The same.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so they can go to your website.
Yeah.
They can go to social.
Yeah. So right at the top of the website is all of our social media, where directions where to go and
So
all
the
that good
Facebook,
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Instagram, all that stuff.
Mhm.
So people can find you. They can probably see some videos, right, and
Oh,
some clips.
yeah.
Okay,
Videos, our YouTube channel, all that good stuff.
and can they buy merch there?
They can't buy merch there yet. I haven't made that happen, but that is on the way.
But they certainly can buy it at your shows.
Oh, absolutely. We have t-shirts, two types of t-shirts for ladies, one for the men, and I'm hoping maybe a couple of hats coming soon.
Now this episode is going to be out in a couple days.
Yeah.
You're going to have a show, a big one in St. Pete.
Yes.
St. Pete's a wonderful place to play, and it's a seafood festival.
It is. It's on December 7th. And
That's a Saturday.
it's a Saturday, and we play at 6:30. We do 6:30 to 8
Oh,
at
that's
night.
great.
It's a great a spot, and I'm really grateful to Bill and the whole Seafood Festival family.
Yeah.
Yeah, really
And you
nice.
know who's fantastic is they have a sound person named Ray,
I love
and
Ray.
I just saw her recently,
Oh, I
and
love
she's
her.
so good.
She's so
She makes
good.
us sound like freaking
I
rock
know.
stars, man.
I know. I always run up and kiss her.
You
I'm like,
know?
I'm so grateful you're here.
I mean, I have family and friends that
Yeah.
come to see me at the
Yeah.
seafood festivals, and they purposely will sit back a little bit,
Mhm.
and they'll come up to me and say, "Man, that mix was amazing."
I
Like,
know. She's so good.
and another place that mixes really well is called the Twisted Fork.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever played there?
We played there this past Sunday. We did 3 to 5:30, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
I
Did
mean,
you
you
have Nate?
feel
Was Nate the guy there? Do you remember his
um
name? Because he's usually like their top guy.
is he a younger?
Thin. He's a thin young guy. Thin.
Yeah, he wasn't there. It was the I can't remember their names. That's terrible.
Daniel, maybe.
It's two older
Oh,
guys.
Bradley. Bradley, maybe.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, it
They
doesn't.
made us sound amazing.
Oh yeah, no, they're still very
Oh,
good
they're so
technicians as well.
yeah.
But I think what happens is the two owners are brothers. They're
Mhm.
Marcus and Bert Parsley.
And Marcus lived half a block from me in Harlem on 119th Street.
No kidding.
Yeah. So when I first came there, he goes, "Were you in New York?" And da da da. I'm like, "Yeah, I lived here." He goes, "I know. I lived right down the
You know,
block."
he's a horn player,
Yeah.
and he's touring with JJ Gray and Mofro.
Love JJ
Yeah,
Gray.
is that guy
I
awesome?
love
Yeah.
JJ Gray. Yeah, that's awesome.
He's got a song called Lock Lusa,
Mm-hmm.
and the live version is spectacular. I listen to it all
During
the time.
COVID, I listened to him a lot.
So Marcus is going to be on the show in
Oh.
January.
Oh, good.
So I'm excited to have him.
Yeah.
But just to finish my point is that these guys went out and bought really good gear, and they
Mhm.
have a really good sound mixing console. So they
Mhm.
bring in some of the larger tribute acts,
Right.
you know, and they even bring in some like other acts that are bigger than that.
Hmm.
And one time we got to open up for an Aerosmith tribute,
Oh,
and we opened up for a Bon Jovi tribute.
nice.
And the funny thing about the Bon Jovi tribute is that it was so freaking packed. And I've never seen it more packed. And VIP sold out, you know. And my little old band Jacked Up's playing. So I told my photographer, I said, take a picture from behind the stage and get me like going like this. So there's a great picture I have of me in front of it looks like it's my Jacked Up crowd, but it's not. It's the Bon Jovi crowd, right? But who knows? Who
Who
cares?
knows?
So I got this great picture of me with like 1,000 people out in front.
I love
And they're
that.
all like, yes.
That's it.
That
You're gonna
was,
put
that
it
was
on
my
your
15,
wall.
my 15 seconds of fame.
I
Right?
love it. Isn't that the best?
I still get off. I still get high. As I was telling Natalie, who was here last week,
Mhm.
it's hard to explain, but it's a it's a non-alcoholic natural rush. It's a
Absolutely.
adrenaline fix
It is.
that has now replaced drugs and alcohol for me. And it's
Exactly.
like I get off on sounding good, and I get off on the applause, you know, and it's just
Yeah.
it makes me young. It makes me feel
Yeah.
young.
Yeah. I get off on the connection to the people through the music. It's everything. It makes me feel so high and so good.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you for coming in.
Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you for
And
having me.
I look forward to seeing you. And I'm going to try to make St. Pete, but I'm going to tell all of
Yeah.
our listeners
Yes.
to go to the website, see your dates, and go see you guys.
Thank you very much. My
Kill.
pleasure.
Nice to see you.
You as well.